Time now for Night Court. No doubt restaurants took a hit during the pandemic. Now some are facing legal challenges over added surcharges used to try to minimize their losses. At the beginning of the pandemic, the Chicago-based restaurant group Let Us Entertain You added up to a 4% fee on its takeout and delivery orders. But according to a new lawsuit, they didn't notify customers of the extra charges before their purchases. So is this a case of not reading the fine print or sneaky fees? Let's take the case to tonight's Legal Eagles. Nothing But the Truth podcast host, criminal defense attorney David Bruno, along with trial and family law attorney Lexie Rigden. Welcome to both of you.
Hello, Mike.
Thank you.
Exhibit A from the complaint. For nearly 2 years, under the veneer of COVID-19 impacts, defendants have boosted their revenue by 3 to 4% across all their locations with these deceptive surcharges and processing fees. In many instances, customers are not made aware of these surcharges and processing fees until after payment. Lexie, is that okay?
I think it's totally okay. I mean, we have a very harrowing story here of somebody who just wanted his apple fritter and his chocolate cake and his hash brown, which to me is a pretty restrained meal. And then he ends up, after he pays, he sees this shocking 24-cent surcharge, which is what it is on the receipt. And it ends up being a 3% surcharge. And I mean, they're allowed to do this. There's nothing wrong with doing this. And it's written right on the receipt that it's a 3% surcharge. And I actually think it's a pretty good deal for the consumers because there's no allegation that they're actually raising the prices of the items. The allegation is that there's this surcharge. And that's a heck of a lot better than what inflation is. What they might be charging for donuts down the street might be 7% versus this 3%. So, and also, when do you ever really know exactly to the dollar the price of what you're paying for something? I mean, right. You order a steak at a restaurant, it's $49, and then you get the bill and, oh, they added a gratuity and oops, the steak's already gone, you ate it. I mean, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So this happens all the time. And it actually says on the receipt, in the fine print, on the smoking gun, if you will, in Exhibit A of the complaint, that if you want a refund for that 3%, you can ask for it. And the president of the company actually said a few years ago when they were criticized about this before that they'll give it back.
Exhibit B from the complaint. The costs of doing business across all markets have increased as a result of COVID-19. The restaurant industry has particularly been impacted. However, instead of factoring any increased operation costs into their pricing model, as every other industry has been forced to do, and simply adjusting the visible advertised price of their menu items so customers are informed, defendants regularly and unlawfully add these deceptive surcharges to their customers' bills without authorization or notification. David, how do you read it?
Yeah, I'm with the plaintiff on this, and there's material facts that are important here. Number one, the receipt that comes after the transaction. So there's no actual notice. There's no signs. There's no notice up for the consumers. And these consumer protection laws are very serious all across the land. And in fact, in Illinois here, it allows for attorney's fees, compensatory damages as well. You know, and don't forget, it may be 24 cents on this particular bill, but this restaurant has over 100 restaurants across the United States. So it adds up over and over and over again. And in reality, this company is making 3 to 5% more in revenue just on these surcharges. Most of the industry, they're baking it into the cost of the items, and that it leads the consumer to understand what the cost is instead of seeing it in the bill after they get it. So I think that's the problem. It's after. It's not like a restaurant, like you get the bill and you get to approve it and then sign it and add the gratuity. It comes after the transaction. That's the problem here for this particular restaurant.
All right, well, looking at the clock, we're up against the clock a bit. So, Lexie, how does this play out in court?
I think that this is actually way more transparent than going there 1 week, paying $1 for your donut, and then going the next week and paying $1.50 and not knowing why, because nobody's going to say, oh, there was a run on sprinkles, so we had to jack up the price. So I don't think that this is a very sympathetic case for the plaintiffs. My verdict is for the restaurant.
All right, David, your thoughts?
Yeah, in the end, like most civil cases, it's probably going to settle. And in the end, you know who really wins in this type of case? It's the lawyers. It's trying to get that class action lawsuit. And then what? A consumer gets 24 cents back? the lawyers are the ones that really benefit from a case like this.
All right. Legal Eagles, thank you so much. You brought your A game late at night. Grateful for your time. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Some good news.